What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Play Like a Jet live with you Stadium. That is Clayton Smarslock. I'm Luke Grant. And for the first time in nearly 400 days, I got to cheer for a Jets win. Because last year when the Jets had a couple of wins, I certainly wasn't going for the Jets in those two games. I was going for Trevor Lawrence. But Clay, an exciting week. It was great to see the Jets actually score some points. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's been a good few days. Obviously getting a win that we can actually root for is just a different feeling. Like last year, obviously they started off 0-13, and we did not want those last two wins. I can tell you that much. Or I should say, most of us didn't.
Yeah.
And to be able to actually root for a win, not try to go for a tank, not go for draft position, it feels great. And we're gonna dive into it. But yeah, with that, I saw Tom Segura Sunday night. The Red Sox beat the Yankees last night. I know me and you were on different sides of that, but
Disappointing.
But it's been a good few days for me. Not gonna lie.
Love to hear it. It all started with the Jets 27-24 win in overtime. Before we get into the game, guys, just want to thank you for watching Play Like a Jet live, for supporting U Stadium. Do all those things we talk about every single week. Make sure you subscribe to the U Stadium channel, all their social media pages. Same goes for Play Like a Jet and our YouTube. And then make sure you're supporting the show with your super chats and your stickers. You can also donate via Venmo. All of those things help Clay, myself, in the entire U Stadium fan base. Also, some great merch that both sites have. So U Stadium, they have the Rocket Arm t-shirts with the pixelated Zach Wilson. That looks incredible. Have one for Lamar Jackson jumping into the end zone from a couple of weeks ago. Make sure you check them out. And then Play Like a Jet. Actually, my partner, Alex, she put together a really good design. We've got the Zach Wilson merch ourselves, the Go Long Range. Go and check both of those out. Support us. But Clay, without any further ado, let's jump into the win. Yeah. I wanted to start with offense because we scored 27 more points than last week. You might have think the Jets put on 50 points, but the Jets scored 0 the week before. It was a tough start to the game, Clay. I was worried because I saw a lot of running on first and second down, second and long, and I thought, oh, man, here we go again. But the Jets warmed up to it, and the drive that started it was Wilson actually checking at the line of scrimmage. There were two plays on that first touchdown drive, one to Corey Davis on a speed out where he checked from a running play to a pass and went for 30 yards, and then the ball to Jamison Crowder on the crosser. It was great to see them start to get cooking and finally produce on offense.
Yeah, I mean, it was a slow start, scoring 7 points in the first half. We got our grand total up to 10 on the season in the first half points. But the second half they started turning it around, and it wasn't really due to Mike LaFleur, and Zach Wilson was able to make some out of structure plays, 2 50-yard bombs that were not supposed to be 50-yard bombs, and it just worked out. Like we started seeing the Zach Wilson that was at BYU. We started seeing the Zach Wilson that was the number 2 overall pick. Even I know there were some throws that were not very good, to be honest, if I'm being quite frank. Like that game never should have gotten down to the last couple of seconds of overtime. Zach Wilson had 2 throws that would have either sealed it or literally won it. And he missed them. And they were easy throws and he missed them. There's no debating that. But those throws aside, it was nice to see the offense put up some points. I know we both predicted under 20 points going into, or last Wednesday. I know you changed it on the Play Like a Jet podcast with Scott, but now they scored over 20 points. They took advantage of a not so great defense, and I think this is it's just good momentum to get into when they're going into London against another not so good defense heading into their bye week the following week.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, though, Clay. It was the return of BYU Zach Wilson, the out-of-structure stuff. It all started with Keelan Cole, who actually had a really strong game. Yeah. He had 80-plus yards, which was good to see because he's been relatively non-existent since the start of OTAs when he was really strong, and then he kind of vanished. But that ball to him down the sideline, that really should have been a touchdown. That was a perfect ball. He actually kind of stopped running on it. It was a bit of a weird play, but an incredible throw, went 53 yards in the air. And then the redirection to Corey Davis, what I love so much about that was just the instincts, Clay, because they were in what looked like a 3-high cover 3 shell, and the safety drove on the snap, and they went to inverted cover 2. Zach Wilson had the wherewithal to understand that and then knew that there'd be vacant space down the field. He led Corey Davis, and that was just a phenomenal play. So it was great to see Zach Wilson out of structure. As you mentioned, there's some throws he's going to want he's going to want back, especially the out to Corey Davis that would have finished the game. That was a big miss and a throw he made a ton at BYU. So he's going to hit those throws, guys. Don't panic. He ended up with 21 of 34, 297 yards and a couple of touchdowns. The interception wasn't on him. That was on Corey Davis. Let's talk about Corey Davis a little bit, Clay, because he really struggled against the Patriots. He really struggled against Denver with some drops. And by quarter time in the game on the weekend, I think Jets fans were regretting signing Corey Davis. There was some very angry people online, but the ability for him to bounce back and end up going for 100 yards, a touchdown, and just some huge plays, it said a lot about his character and about Corey Davis, the receiver.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, he had another, I don't know if it's going to be called a drop, but I think it's one that could have been caught early on in the game. And at that point, I think I was getting to that point when that drop happened. I'm like, this can't be happening. Like, there's no way that you sign a guy for this much money. You just can't catch a ball. But after that, he turned it on. He made a nice extended catch for, I think it was his first reception of the game, maybe his second.
I think his first reception, he actually fumbled.
You might be right. And then obviously, the 50-yard touchdown against his former team. It was a nice revenge game for him. Get back on track and hopefully just get something rolling with these guys. And the drops have to be limited at the very least, but because they've just been out of control the first 3.5 games. So no, and Corey Davis, I'm happy he was able to get it going against his former team, a team that showed that they did not want him back. And he can kind of just get something rolling and be this wide receiver one that fans thought he could be. We thought he could be going into the season. And I know he thinks he can be that.
This might be a controversial take. I think the most important player on the field for the Jets offense on Sunday was Jamison Crowder. And I'll tell you why. The Jets haven't been able to beat man coverage. Everyone expected Denver to come out and run 2 high safeties, cover 2s, and they said the Jets receivers can't beat us man-to-man. We're going to just play cover 1. They did it, and the Jets didn't get open the entire game. Yeah. There were 3 enormous third downs in the game that Jamison Crowder, well, one might have been a second down, but he had the crossing route where Zach Wilson botched the snap, picked it up, and hit him. That was a huge play. He had the touchdown in the red zone where he beat man coverage. And then in overtime, you remember the Jets had a 3rd and 4 on the right flat. He found it, beat man coverage again. Having a receiver, Clay, that can actually get open quickly is just huge for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't understand the people that wanted to trade him. It didn't make any sense. And I think this, as I don't want to say Berrios has been terrible, but for the Berrios crowd, they said like he's just as good as Jamison. Where are you at? I want to hear you. And I know there's a few guys. We both know a few guys on Twitter that have been pro Berrios and trade Crowder. Where are you at now? Like he is obviously a huge safety blanket, especially for a team that doesn't have a tight end. Because a tight end and a slot receiver, those are the safety blankets for a quarterback. And we don't have a tight end. We have Jamison Crowder, who is one of the better pure slot receivers in the league. I'm not talking about a guy that can go inside and out because those guys are just some of them are better, like Justin Jefferson, like something like that. But Jamison Crowder, he's a pure slot receiver, and he's damn good at it. And it showed this week. I know his stats don't jump off the page. What was it? 7 receptions, like 61 yards. Stats don't jump off the page, but he's converting first downs. He got a touchdown. He got open on that corner route, right? Was that him or is that? Yeah, that was him. So he's very vital to his offense. I'm curious to see how the role changes a little bit when Elijah Moore comes back. Because I'm sure they'll want to put him in the slot. I know he can play the outside much more frequently than Crowder, but I don't think Crowder's snap should be taken away just with Elijah Moore coming back. I think they're gonna have to figure out some stuff, whether it's playing just 4 receiver sets, taking Keelan Cole off the field. We're not going to see Denzel Mims. No. unless 4 receivers are hurt, we're not going to see Denzel Mims. So I think we just got to stop bringing it up until he does finally step on the field. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, Zach Wilson had 35 dropbacks on Sunday. Denzel Mims was on the field for 5 of those. So he's going to be a non-factor. Interestingly, Clay, you talked about the balance with Moore coming back this week. When he was in the lineup originally, he was playing 65% of his snaps on the outside to start with, which was a huge surprise to me. But it looks like that's how the Jets are going to try and go. They're going to rotate Elijah Moore and Keelan Cole on the outside and then very rarely push him to the slot. So it will be interesting. Clay, the offensive line played a lot better than they have. Zach Wilson got sacked once, I think, maybe only once,
Yes, once.
which was fantastic. Elijah Vera-Tucker didn't let up a sack. Didn't let up a pressure. We're at the point now where the 4 guys outside of Greg Van Roten are playing good football.
Yeah, and it's good to see. You got to keep this guy protected. You have to protect your number 2 pick that you are really gambling on. And it starts with this past Sunday. Like it's a good start. 1 sack without Mekhi Becton. Elijah Vera-Tucker played better. He's been pretty good in the run game too, I gotta say, even though the rushing stats aren't there to back it up. I think Vera-Tucker's been a good job. Has done a good job in the run game. But McGovern, he's his same inconsistent self. He's gonna have bad snaps. He's gonna have good snaps.
Yeah.
A lot of in between. But yeah, Van Roten is just. I know occasionally he'll have a good snap, but he's just way too often. He just gets thrown back. Like how many times is Michael Carter going to get tackled 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage right when he gets the ball handed off to him? I mean, it seems like it happened to Morgan Moses a time or two last week too. But for the most part, they did a good job. It was much improved from the first 3 weeks. So it was baby steps.
Exactly. So that was the Jets offense, guys. 27 points. It was quite literally an offensive explosion compared to what we've seen through the first few weeks. So it was good to see the Jets. Yeah, I know, right? So it's good to see the Jets score some points. Let's flip over to the defense. And I wanted to start with the cornerback group because that's our brand, Clay. Michael Carter II, Bryce Hall, they're our guys.
No.
People we were big on in the draft process the last 2 years. And they were just phenomenal on the weekend. Just a stat for you guys, just to kind of put it into context. The Jets have 2 of the top 20 corners as far as coverage grades in the NFL, according to PFF. Bryce Hall is 16th. Michael Carter II is 18th. They have done a phenomenal job. I think we're at the point, Clay, where even though they haven't played a great slate of receivers, I think Bryce Hall is a cornerback 1 right now. Like, I'm not just saying, he's a top 50 corner. He has played great snaps on DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. He shut down Cortland Sutton, who came off a career week coming into the Jets game. He was phenomenal on the weekend. He had 2 QB hits. He had 3 pass breakups. Like, how good is Bryce Hall right now?
He's been great. I know we all kind of expected him to take a step forward because last year was his first year after coming off a terrible knee injury at Virginia. He got a late start to the season. I think he started after the halfway mark.
Yeah.
So we expected him to take a step forward in Saleh's defense too. But he's taken not just 1 step, but 2, maybe 3 steps forward. Like, he's playing very well. And we saw it on that deep pass with the recovery speed. I know the ball was a little underthrown, but the recovery speed, I guess he kind of got lucky that it wasn't a DPI. It was timed perfectly to where it was a DPI because he didn't turn back for the ball. He kind of just played the receiver and just took a chance, and it worked out flawlessly. So, no, I've been very impressed with him. I mean, I don't think you mentioned it, but if you did, I don't know if you did. But this is also the only cornerback group that hasn't given up a touchdown either, and I think a large part of that is due to Bryce Hall. Like, he's done an incredible job. He's not following the guy. He's usually staying on that one side of the field. And it seems like he can struggle with the more shiftier guys with the quick slants. Like, it seems like those are the only receptions he gives up.
Yeah.
But no, I've been very, very impressed with Bryce Hall. And of course, like Carter II, as you alluded to too. And he's finally getting, I tweeted about it just a couple hours ago. He's finally getting some national recognition. Daniel Jeremiah, he puts out I think he's just a quarterly, maybe weekly, top 25 rookie list, and Michael Carter II, not just Michael Carter II, but Michael Carter, the running back. They were both on the list. Michael Carter II was 24th on the list. And it's good to see that he's actually getting the national recognition despite being on such a poor team like the Jets. So no, I know I kind of crapped on the cornerback group quite a bit heading into the season, but I give him props. I wasn't crapping on Michael Carter II. Don't you get that misconstrued?
Yes.
But no, I've been thoroughly impressed. They've done a good job. And I know, like, we haven't played the best passing offenses, but I think this upcoming week will be a good test. And with Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, I know there'll be more so linebackers and safeties covering him, but he's going to line up all over the place. So who knows? We might see Bryce Hall lined up on Kyle Pitts quite a bit. But
We
no,
do.
I've been thoroughly impressed so far, and I can't wait to see what they do this upcoming week against a more, I guess, powerful offense or high flying offense, I should say.
Yeah, most definitely. But look, Clay, I know Bryce Hall had 2 QB hits, but outside of that, the Jets' defensive line hit Ryan Tannehill time and time again. They had 4 players on the weekend who had 6 plus pressures, which is a phenomenal stat. John Franklin Myers, Quinnen Williams, Bryce Huff, and Sheldon Rankins all had 6 or more pressures on the quarterback, which is just ridiculous. I wanted to start with Bryce Huff because I think I focused a lot on John Franklin Myers and Quinnen Williams this year, and I know Bryce Huff has been playing well, but I was like, yeah, he's a solid starter. He's doing a great job. When I went back and watched the All-22 last night, Clay, I put a video up on the Play Like a Jet YouTube talking about the Jets' defensive front. Bryce Hall hit Ryan Tannehill 6 times on the weekend, but he's not just winning on these cheap stunts and things like this. He is beating Taylor Lewan around the edge with speed, with bend, with ankle flexion and dip. This dude is for real.
I mean, I don't know how many people were. I don't want to take a victory lap or anything, but I might just give myself a pat on the back. I had a 4th round grade on Bryce Huff, so I was shocked that he was undrafted, and I was so excited when they did pick him up because I knew he had the potential to become a good pass rush specialist. Not only that, but I mean, I know you're not the biggest fan of the ESPN
True.
stats, but even in the highest win rate as a defensive end, he's number 3.
Yeah.
Like whether you like it or not, because I'm not a huge fan of PFF grades, but like I think it's a good kind of benchmark to kind of see where they're at, because I don't think it's crazy far off, but I also don't think it's perfect.
Except
but
for
to see
CJ
Bryce Huff,
Mosley.
yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. But to see Bryce Huff 3rd behind Sam Hubbard and Cameron Jordan at defensive end and run stop win percentage, and he's also up there. I believe he's up there. Let me bring it up. Yeah, he's number 4 in pass rush win rate. Again, you don't have to love it, but the fact that it's better that he's up there than not being up there at all. So, I'm really excited with what Bryce Huff has done, and this is without Carl Lawson too. Think about what this defensive group could be if they did have Carl Lawson and even Finney Curry too.
Yeah,
I know maybe Curry wouldn't be as productive as Franklin Myers, has Huff right now. Even Shaq Lawson's actually playing pretty well.
Yep.
But just that rotation of guys is so vital. Quinnen Williams isn't even playing all that much, to be honest. He's playing 60 snaps a game, 60% of the snaps a game.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that our best defensive lineman, or actually, I don't even know if I could say he's the best, but through 4 games. Right. But I want to put that question on you. Who do you think's been the best defensive lineman through 4 games so far?
John Franklin Myers, I think. In saying that, John Franklin Myers had the most incredible run stop I've ever seen in my life on the weekend. He went through the tight end's chest in overtime, drove him 5 yards into the backfield, and annihilated Derrick Henry. But Quinnen Williams has also been spectacular in his run defense. He's had 6 or 7 run stops already for 2 yards or less, which is always the barometer that I use. But I think John Franklin Myers has been the best. But in saying that, Bryce Huff and Quinnen Williams are right there. Sheldon Rankins played more snaps than Quinnen did on the weekend. His ability to lead on the stunts and open up things for Quinnen Williams and for Bryce Huff has been enormous as well. Look, it's so hard to choose, but I'd probably say John Franklin Myers.
Yeah, and we're just talking about in the pass rushing game too.
Yeah,
can't forget about Foley.
Foley's
another great defensive lineman. It's been more so in the run defense.
Sure.
But he's been tremendous in that aspect. I think the only one that really hasn't been doing all that well is Nathan Shepard.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I'm ready to just never see 97 on the field again, to be honest.
I'll tell you who did play well, and people probably didn't even notice he was on the field because 96 looks a lot like 98. Jonathan Marshall had some really nice snaps.
How many snaps? He only played 6 snaps?
Played about 7 or something like that, 6 or 7 snaps. There was 2 or 3 where I went, oh, gee, nice rep from Sheldon Rankins. And I watched it back and was like, that's not Sheldon Rankins, that's Jonathan Marshall. It's good to see another Joe Douglas draft pick. I know people have been critical of the first class. I get it. There were some misses in the middle. Yeah. Those picks from P. Ryan to James Morgan, and then your mate, the Florida edge rusher, Jabari Zuniga. They were bad picks. But even in that class, you get Mekhi Becton, who's a top 10 potentially left tackle in the NFL. You get Bryce Hall. This next class, Clay, this class that's just been picked, I think this could be special. I'm talking New Orleans Saints 2000 14 maybe. So it sounds 17. I'm way off.
Yeah.
That kind of draft class. That's what I think this is. Because Michael Carter II is a top 5 slot in the NFL in 2 years. I guarantee you. Zach Wilson has a chance to be great. You then have who else did they take? Elijah Moore, Vera Tucker. And then you haven't even talked about the guys down the end. In the first draft class, throw Bryce Huff in there as well as an undrafted free agent. Look, Joe Douglas has been copping it the last few weeks. I think it's unjust. Man, it was a big day for his draft picks, and it was fantastic to see. Before we move on, do you have anything else on the defensive line that kind of stood out to you?
No. I think we kind of hit on all the guys. I don't know if Tim Ward played much. I know he got some playing time the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
But no, they had a tremendous game. It was nice to see. Like, I know they've been playing okay. The sack numbers haven't been there. Like, they've been playing okay the first 3 weeks. But they just turned it on against Tennessee. And this Atlanta offensive line isn't great. Like, they could take advantage of this one too. And Matt Ryan cannot move like Ryan Tannehill. So if you got 7 sacks against Tannehill, who's actually, like, he escaped a couple sacks too. I wouldn't be shocked to see 4 or 5 sacks this upcoming week for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by the performance of the defensive line. Clay, the biggest shocker in the history of shocks was Quincy Williams. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Quincy Williams is great as far as hitting. He loves to hit people. You've seen it. He's had 2 or 3 splash plays already for the Jets. But in space, he's just not a good lateral mover. He was phenomenal. Like, he had one play early where I actually tweeted Quincy Williams is bad at football. That tweet aged beautifully after the next 3 quarters. But
he saw all of our tweets.
He was incredible. Like, how good was he?
Yeah, I will say, if there's anything I have to take, if anything bad I do have to say, is he could have had 2 interceptions.
Oh man, he could have. You're not wrong.
But what I think is happening in those 2 particular instances, I think he's missed so many tackles. He's missed so many tackles in the flat and on those type of passes, to where he's now is like, you know what? Focused on the ball carrier, focused on the player. Don't look for the ball, because once he takes his eyes off the player and onto the ball, like, say he doesn't make a play, like, say he just doesn't make a play on the ball, then he misses a tackle, and then that 0-yard play is now potentially first down or worse.
I'm going to go a different direction to you, right? Sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're good.
I'm going to say he misses so many tackles because of the reason that he missed the interception, and that's because he drops his head too early. When you see him running into contact, man, Quincy Williams is running in like this, and then you better hope the guy is not shifty like Christian McCaffrey, or else he's going to miss him by 3 yards. But look, either way, he was just spectacular. That hit on Derrick Henry on 4th and 1. I know it didn't end in a stop.
I know, the first down,
It was incredible though. He was just
he was Derrick Henry. I mean, it wasn't Michael Carter. It was Derrick Henry. But I think what we do have to, and actually I think Craig is right too. He doesn't have that performance without CJ Mosley. CJ Mosley has been great. I don't care what the PFF grade says. He's been great so far. But one thing I will have to criticize them, the screen game is terrible. They don't know how to stop a screen for the life of them. Whether it's the linebackers, the defensive line, the defensive line, like, they have to notice it a lot sooner than they do. Like, because they're all just going after the quarterback. Like, all right, like, it's fine for one guy to go after the quarterback, but, like, could someone, like, kind of, like, fall back and go with the freaking running back who's going to get 10, 15, 20, 25 yards? It seemed like every time they did a screen, it was 10 plus yards.
Yeah, maybe it's because Quinn Williams is scared. In that week 1 against Carolina, he beat Pat Elflein that quickly that he thought it was a screen, and he missed the sack. Maybe he's a little gun shy. Adam Colbert, I think it's Adam, number 33. He was the guy. Adrian, thank you. He was the guy that was pretty responsible. He took a terrible line on that first screen that went for like 29 yards.
Oh yeah, that
million. There was a block on the back on that play as well on the defensive line. But look, either way, I mean, they need to do a better job, because I think it was the Rams game last year, maybe, where the Jets had a 3rd and long and they took it for like 3,000 yards. Actually, I don't think it was the Rams game. I think we lost whatever game it was, but it's been an issue really for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So Jets have to get that sorted. But look, the defense is playing great, Clay. They're still top 15 in total defense. They're still top 15 in scoring defense. And Denver's put up some points on some teams. Someone who hasn't put up a ton of points in some games are the Atlanta Falcons. In saying that, they put 30 on the Washington football team. Let's shift our attention now forward to previewing this game, because the Jets go across to London. Oh, sorry. No, go for it.
Sorry. Yeah, before we get into that game too, I just want to put this out there. The Titans had 100 offensive plays.
It's a
They
lot.
ran 100 offensive plays. And the fact that this team only gave up 24 points
Yeah.
is actually astonishing.
With an interception and a short field as well, and 5 quarters, man.
Like I couldn't believe that number. Like I think at the end of regulation it was like 81 to like 50 or something like that. Like they had the ball so much more than the Jets. So like that's putting more pressure on the defense. That's making these guys more tired. But that's where a good, especially on the defensive line, that's where a good rotation comes into play.
Huge.
Like, these guys don't stay as tired. And granted, the defensive backs and the linebackers, they're on the field a lot more often, but they did a good job. They held up against a receiving core that was light, obviously, with Julio and AJ Brown being out. And I'm sure that had a big part in this game. But no, I just want to throw that out there. Like, playing for 100 defensive snaps is not easy. Whether you're playing, even if you're playing like 75 of those snaps, like that's still a lot.
I know. For context, most teams usually run about 65 offensive plays a game. So the Jets had 35. You're talking 35% additional snaps on top of what most teams will usually have to defend. And you mentioned it, Clay. The defensive line rotation is huge because in overtime, Bryce Huff had a sack. On the play before the field goal, they nearly sacked Ryan Tannehill. It was so close. I don't know how he got that ball out. Sheldon Rankins had him in the grasp. They were fantastic in overtime, and that's thanks to the rotation and the depth of the defensive line. All right, Atlanta Falcons week. In London, the Jets have played great there in the past. I remember I was at a friend's house at a party one night, stayed up late. Suddenly, before I knew it, the Jets were playing the Dolphins. Brandon Marshall scored a touchdown on like the first play of the game. It was insane. The Jets hung like 40 on the Dolphins that day. Woody Johnson home game, revenge game. So look, we'll see, Clay. But right now, speaking generally, the Jets are at the moment here 2.5-point dogs. I've seen 3.5 in some different lines. I think they're there with Pinnacle. Look, I'm fascinated by this game because I think the Jets are good value. Atlanta's defense. Let's start Jets offense versus Atlanta defense. The Atlanta defense is the worst team in the NFL for scoring defense, 32 points per game. This is the statistic, though. When their opponents haven't played the Atlanta Falcons, they're only scoring 23 points a game. They're scoring 32 when they play the Atlanta Falcons. So they're 9 points per game worse on average with common opponents, which is like historically bad. I understand it's 4 weeks, but this has been a trend for the last 3 years for the Atlanta Falcons. Clay, the Jets get Elijah Moore back. They get another week of Elijah Vera Tucker continuing to grow. Morgan Moses and Fant have held up. This is a huge opportunity for Zach Wilson to do and build upon what he did last week against the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest concern would be Grady Jarrett if he's lined up on Van Roten.
Oh, man, don't say that.
Because we know what Grady Jarrett can do. I mean, I'm looking at their depth chart right now. They have some solid players. Like Grady Jarrett, obviously, he's a great player. Deion Jones is good. Olaquan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name, but he's a solid player. The secondary is where it gets rough.
Yeah.
AJ Terrell, Fabian Moreau, Deron Harmon. I mean, I know he's gotten a few interceptions against the Jets in his heyday. The secondary is actually pretty rough. But even like Tyler Davison, I know him from his New Orleans days. Mike Pennell, he's on the defensive line. Like they have
penalty.
Yeah. Like they have some decent players up front. So I think that would be the interior line. I think that would be my biggest concern. But again, I don't see any reason why this team can't put up 20 plus points again. Like you said, that what was the number? 30? Was it 32
points per game?
Yeah. So we may not put up 32 because like our offense still isn't great, but I don't see any reason why they can't put up 20, 24 points, 27 points again in this game.
And they've played some rubbish offenses. They've played the Giants. They've played Washington football team. Like, look, Scary Terry is amazing. But speaking generally, that's not a good football team offensively. The Giants are not a good football team, full stop. So it's not like the Falcons have gone through murderer's row. They did play the Buccaneers. I understand that. But generally speaking, this defense is terrible. It's going to be great. I think Elijah Moore is finally going to score a touchdown. I have a feeling this is the week Elijah Moore somehow gets on the field, scores a touchdown. That would be fantastic. We're done talking about Braxton Berrios, which is amazing. But I agree with you, Craig. I think that something that's going to be huge, Clay, it goes back to what you said, is moving the pocket. And it's something that I still have been disappointed how little LaFleur has done it. Because the times that Zach Wilson is escaping, look, to be fair, the touchdown to Corey Davis was a design naked bootleg. So credit to him. He got him outside of the pocket. The play didn't work as expected with the kind of flood concept to the right, but he still got Zach out of the pocket on his own. you need to do it with Grady Jarrett because he's going to kill Greg Van Roten. He's going to kill Connor McGovern. He's even going to trouble Elijah Vera Tucker. So I want to see that, Craig. That's a good point. But flipping over to the other side of the ball, the test is really going to be the skill position players against Michael Carter, against maybe Niesman, who looked pretty good at safety. I thought he was a big improvement on Redwine and the other Colbert and the guys we've seen back there. Bryce Hall, he's going to have a really tough challenge. It's really his second tough challenge. Cortland Sutton, but now Ridley's a bit of a different beast with his route running. So that's going to be really, I think the key to the game is going to be shutting down Pitts and Ridley.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched, I'm not going to lie, I have not watched Falcons this year. So I don't know how often Ridley goes into the slot. And obviously, if he goes into the slot, you'd expect Michael Carter to be on him. Ridley, you got to actually, no, I want to put Ridley to the side. The person I'm actually most scared of, and it's not even Kyle Pitts, it's Cordarrelle Patterson.
Man,
what he can do out of the backfield as a receiver is really it's haunting me because of what we've seen literally every game now. The running backs do in their passing game. Like we saw it with Christian McCaffrey. We saw it with James White.
Yep.
I try to forget the Broncos game. I don't even know if anyone did it. Maybe Melvin Gordon.
They didn't need to.
Yeah, they didn't need to. And then obviously last week with McNichols. So I think that's my biggest concern is Patterson. How are they going to stop him? Like is it going to be CJ Mosley kind of just keeping an eye on him? Is it going to be Quincy Williams? I know it's not going to be Jalen Smith because he just got signed by Green Bay.
Yeah.
but I think they're going to really have to keep an eye on him because we saw it last week. He scored 3 touchdowns against a pretty good defense in Washington.
Yeah. It also won't be Hamza Nasruddin because he's been put on the injured reserve list. He went on there yesterday. Unless they've done it now, it's pretty much an undisclosed injury. I'm not sure what the issue is there with him. So something to watch. It's a bit interesting that Jets haven't revealed. Back too. Blake Cashman was back to practice this week. He's practicing and off the IR in that regard. So that's good to see. But look, this is going to be a really good test. I think the defensive line has an opportunity to really eat, though, because you mentioned off the top, outside of Jake Matthews, it's not a good offensive line. It's one of the worst in the NFL. And these guys have an opportunity to get 4 or 5 sacks again. The immobility of Matt Ryan is going to be crucial here. He's also losing a little bit of arm strength. It's a good opportunity for the Jets to really target and go after and be aggressive. But I want to see them play zone on the back end. I don't think you need to be playing a lot of man coverage against Ridley and Pitts. Let's just play off, make them pick you apart. I think that's the way to play.
Yeah, that's probably the best course of action just because we know what Ridley can do as a route runner. He's one of the better route runners in the league, probably top 5. Kyle Pitts, and again, we know what he can do too. So I'd probably just stay in some sort of zone. Just don't let them beat you too much with their route running, and I don't know. Just try to keep them in front of you too. We're doing a great job of limiting the big plays too. I think that's a big part of this defense. They're limiting big plays. They're still in that bend don't break mentality too, which I do love it. Like it's great to know that they're not giving up these touchdowns. Like the Titans scored 3 field goals in the first half, and we kind of even later on. Obviously they scored 24 points in total, but they did a good job of just not completely breaking. For the most part, obviously they're going to give up touchdowns, but no, it's been good so far. It's been encouraging, and I think it's going to be tough to limit this team in scoring, even though their offensive line isn't great. We thought Carolina's offensive line wasn't great and kind of got not manhandled, but it wasn't what we expected. So you never know. You never know what can happen in football. But I'm expecting a big day again from the defensive line, and we just got to limit Cordarrelle Patterson. I think that's the biggest, which is weird with a team that has Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley. Yeah. I'm saying that Cordarrelle Patterson is the biggest weapon on that offense, or biggest concern, I should say, not the biggest weapon.
So the Jets are doing it without Carl Davis. They're doing it without Gerard Davis. They're doing it possibly without Brandon Eccles. He's in the concussion protocol, but looks like he could be out, so he may play. Yeah. The other guy they're doing it without is Marcus May. And it's been an interesting week for Marcus May and his agent, because I joked a couple of weeks ago, Clay, that the Jets have a lot of assets. So, maybe when Marcus May comes back from injury, you don't trade him. You just sit him down and say, look, good luck getting a contract next year, agent. Jets may not need to do that because Marcus May was in an undisclosed car accident. He had a DUI, didn't report it to the Jets or the NFL. What do you reckon the course of action is for the Jets? Because I saw Craig ask the question, look, they're not going to be able to trade him. I don't think anyone's taking on Marcus May with this over his head because he's going to be in trouble for not reporting it to the NFL. He's coming back in 3 to 4 weeks. Does he play? Does he sit? What happens?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe just, man, it really sucks because like you would have hoped to at least get something from him.
Yeah.
But maybe you just let the season play out. If he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Because next year, I know I'm sure they're going to sign free agents with the amount of money we're going to have. So we probably won't get a compensatory pick for May, but it might cancel something out. I don't know. That's just, I guess that's the best way I could think of it. It's because he's not going to be on the team in 2022. He's just not. I know a lot of people, including myself, thought that it's possible that he gets tagged twice in a row. Just because of his age, his injury history, it didn't make a ton of sense to do a multi-year deal that you're kind of more locked into. But I think that's gone out the window. I think with the agent, with May and how he's feeling, and he's not a captain this year, and I'm sure that didn't go over well with himself. I think we might have seen the last of Marcus May in the Jets uniform.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think this is going to be an ugly end to what's been a strained relationship really since Jamal Adams was traded away. Then he had some emoji tweets when Sam Darnold was traded away, the unrest in the offseason with the contract. So look, this is coming to an end. I don't think it's going to be a great outcome for either team or either party because the Jets aren't going to get a pick, as you mentioned, and then Marcus May is not going to get the big contract that he would have expected. So not a great result, but I guess now we have to finish with some predictions, Clay. We have to look at this game. I'm going to start with a couple for me. Score prediction. Can't believe I'm saying this. I said it in the preseason show, though. We're going to win this football game. Jets home game in London. That's what it is. They're going to win 31-20. I think they're going to win a 2-possession football game. I can't believe I've said that. I think the Jets are going to win 31-20. I think Zach Wilson's going to have 3 touchdowns. I think that the Jets will sack Matt Ryan 5 times. I think that Quinnen Williams and Bryce Huff will combine for at least 3 sacks. And I think that Elijah Moore will have a touchdown. And that's what I've got.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to say 31 points for the Jets.
There you go.
I'm not going to go that high. Because that means that's hitting pretty much the average. And I think the Jets are still below average offense. So I'm going to go with 27 again. I think they get to 27. I'm going to say I'm going to do it back-to-back weeks, 27-24.
I nearly did it.
Yeah, I'm going to do 27-24 back-to-back weeks. No, I'll change it, 27-23. I don't like back-to-back weeks. 27-23. But, yeah, I think I'll say Zach Wilson. I'm going to say he has his first interception-less game.
Yeah.
I think he'll have no turnovers this game, unless there's a crazy tip that's already happened to him, 3-4 times this year? Something just out of his control happens.
Yeah.
I think he's not going to have an interception this game. Throws for 250 yards, touchdown. And I think Michael Carter, I think he'll get not 1, but 2 touchdowns this week.
Love to hear it. Michael Carter, the first. That is.
Yes, the first.
Yes.
And I'm going to stick with it every week until it happens. The Jets are going to get their first interception.
Michael Carter nearly got it last week. There was a play where he was in cover 2 zone in the flat. Tannehill threw it to the right-hand side of their formation, and it was very close. And Michael Carter nearly broke the duck. I picked Bryce Hall to have 1 last week. He had a sack, so let's call it a win anyway. But yeah, the Jets still haven't got a turnover from the corner position, be it a fumble or an interception. So
they haven't had a turnover that wasn't on the goal line.
I know, it's crazy.
Obviously the first one wasn't even the Jets forcing it against Sam Darnold, and then the second one, it was when we were already losing 26-0.
Yeah,
and that was Quincy Williams just getting the ball out at the goal line. So I want to see a turnover in between the 20s.
You're asking a lot.
I know. I am asking for a lot. But yes, I will say an interception. And who did I say last week? I said a defensive lineman. I said Foley.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this one. No, I'm going to stick with another good week for this guy. And maybe he keeps his head up. I'm going to say Quincy Williams. I'm going a little different with it. Maybe he looks at the tape last week, notices all all right, I could have gotten 2 interceptions, 1, maybe 2 interceptions. I think he's going to have multiple chances again when they're passing it to Cordell Patterson for the 9th, 10th time. And I think one of them he might be able to snag.
All right, I'm going to go off the wall here. I think the first interception for the Jets this week is going to come from one of 2 players, Isaiah Dunn or Javelin Guidry. I think that the Falcons are going to understand that the Jets don't move Bryce Hall around the formation. So they're going to move Calvin Ridley. I think they're going to see a lot of traffic if Brandon Eccles doesn't play. Look, credit to him. Isaiah Dunn came in cold in a dime formation and had an incredible pass breakup up the left sideline. He did a great job. But they're going to go after those 2 guys. I think almost just by, volume, one of them might get an interception. That's kind of my best guess.
Yeah. I try to go just different with it. I feel like it's easy. Well, not easy because they still don't have an interception through 4 games.
Yeah.
But I guess easier to pick a corner. So I was like, that's why I did pick Foley last week, Quincy this week. It's like, I said CJ Mosley would lead the team in interceptions in the beginning of the year.
He's only one off.
It's so bad. But yeah, I think we're in for another good week. A good Sunday morning. Was that late Sunday night for you at that point?
It's 12:30 a.m. It's even worse. Like, I'm okay getting up at 4 a.m. now because daylight savings has kicked in over here. Like, I'm up for the day. I'll go to work afterwards. No worries.
Yeah.
Waking up at 12:30, I'm not staying. I got to go back to bed. Are you kidding me? Like, come on.
Oh, man. But yeah, I'm sorry for you, but I think we will have a good Sunday. Monday morning for you if you can somehow get back to sleep after the game if you're not riled up. But no, yeah, and I'm excited. Let's get this win streak going. We're still not expecting playoffs. We're not expecting a great season, but if we can just stack together a couple wins, just get some momentum for this young team that's going to need it. And I think that'll be a huge thing for a guy like Zach Wilson and all the rookies and first-year players on this team.
I'm going to whisper this, but I think the Jets have a chance to be 3-3 in 3 weeks' time. Look, they can beat the Falcons. They got a bye going into New England. I understand Bill Belichick. I talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago. Bill Belichick's good against everyone. He beats rookies 76% of the time. He beats veteran quarterbacks 72% of the time. Bill Belichick, it doesn't matter who he's playing.
Yeah.
In saying that, the last rookie to beat him in New England was Geno Smith. But outside of that, I think the Jets can beat the New England Patriots. I think last time we talked about it, the Jets acquitted themselves really well in that game. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself. We're playing the Falcons.
We got 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
I understand. But look, the Jets have played so badly at times this year, and I still somehow think they could be a 500 team after 6 weeks, which is it's ridiculous. And really, it talks about the NFL.
I'll need to see the Falcons game before I can go that far.
That's pretty fair. I think I'm okay with you saying that. All right, guys. So that's Clayton Smarslock. I'm Luke Grant. Want to thank you very much for joining in for another episode of Play Like a Jet Live. Appreciate Craig and Hayder and all those guys who are dropping the comments. We appreciate your feedback. We'll try and mention as many of them as we can. Guys, you can do so many things to support us. It all starts with liking, subscribing on the social media channels for U Stadium. Make sure you're watching their other shows. The Sports Deck. Splash has got numerous segments on other shows. You've got the San Francisco Hour. There's so many great shows. Make sure you support them. Make sure you're supporting us with Play Like a Jet. Scott's podcast. Look, he doesn't talk about this very often. It's the 9th biggest sports news podcast in the whole of America. This is an enormous job. Scott is incredible at what he does. Make sure you support him. Support us over here too. Super chats, likes, even liking and commenting. All those things help us. We appreciate you. Would appreciate if the New York Jets backed up last week's performance and win. We're going to see from Clay and Luke. Go Jets, and we will see you next Wednesday night.